Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another Big Love Season 4 review. This is episode 8, The Next Ticket. Sarah said, "Peace out, homies. I am blowing this popsicle stand." I'm not about to be a part of this polygamous mess anymore. I don't want to be a part of this announcement. I'm out of here. And I say good for her. Barb, what's up with all this tension between you and Tommy? Because you had Tommy more than you seem to be wanting to hug your husband. Let me find out you're about to pull a Bill on Bill. Hmm. Next. To me, this was yet another episode where Bill continues to feel like his wants, his desires supersede everyone else's. And I just find myself being more and more annoyed with him. But go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we begin. Let me start off by saying this is not in the order of the program, it's actually all over the place. And I remembered why I have not inserted pictures in a while because it throws me off. And something that normally takes a certain amount of time to do takes twice as long to do because of the pictures. But just go ahead and bear with me because I don't know how much longer we're going to be seeing some of these characters, especially because for me, this kind of seemed like it was giving final moment for Sarah. But I don't know because you all know I've never watched this series before, but there was something very final about this episode to me. So we begin this episode with Bill, right? Bill's kids are talking, the jingles are playing, and Sarah and Ben are setting the table for family dinner. Sarah and Ben are playing catch up because they got to tell each other what's been going on since he's been MIA. So Ben announces that Joey admitted to unaliving Roman and that their dad hasn't told Nikki, while Sarah, well, not Sarah really, is Teeny, lets it be known that Margene got married and Bill knows nothing about it, right? So everyone is at the table for family dinner. Sarah drops her great news on the family. Sarah will be moving to Portland with her husband before crap hits the fan with Bill's polygamous announcement. So Bill, of course, makes this moment about him because he's upset that she didn't tell him sooner and he feels like she's been sitting on this whole time, where I feel like even if she has been sitting on it this whole time, it's none of his business. You are no longer the primary man in her life. Her husband is. Sarah is married, and Sarah has wanted out of Utah for a while. The whole situation with her losing her child kind of switched up things, but she wanted to go. So let her go. So while they're at dinner, the lovely Nicolette walks out with her daughter Cara, and all eyes are on her because Nikki has ditched her conservative attire and is showing legs and cleavage, baby. She's letting you know that she too is beautiful. It always makes me chuckle the way that they make Nikki seem like she isn't beautiful even in her more conservative attire, because she is. She looks pretty either way, but this, of course, catches their attention. None of them, especially Bill, can keep their eyes off of Nikki. Nikki just wants to be normal while they're making a big deal of this. And sometimes I wish they wouldn't make a big deal of it because she's already self conscious about the things that she does. So just allow her to try to figure out whatever she got going on and who she is rather than gawking at her. Bill wants to tell her about Joey, admitting that he got rid of Roman, but he still doesn't know how to tell her. I personally felt like it was wrong that everyone else knew but her, that everybody else heard it because Ben did, and now Sarah knows, and Teeny probably overheard it. It's just a lot. And we know that Barb knows. Like, why does everyone else know, probably even Margene, but Nikki? So later that night, Nikki decides to spice things up by using the lingerie that Bill gave her in DC. Now, if you remember from the DC episode, that lingerie was not something she was trying to wear. She seemed to be very uncomfortable with it, pointing out that it was bottomless. But today, Nikki is ready. So she steps out of the bathroom and she's, in her negligee, and she's ready to be the woman that he wants her to be. I personally don't like that statement, but Nikki just seems to be in a different place, right? She is trying to be this sexier person for Bill, when I think she's still just trying to figure out who she is. And I wish she'd stop trying to do things for Bill and try to do things for herself. So she's ready to, do the thing, while he is ready to talk to her about her father. So he sits her down and is ready to talk to her about it. Odd time, if you ask me. But instead of being able to talk about that, they talk about something else. That's even more serious, which is that she is struggling to conceive, that she's been praying really hard to conceive, and that she's seeing a new specialist and he's supposed to be the best. My question is, at what point does Bill, her husband, really care about her health? At what point does he ask certain questions? I get that he may not be able to go to the doctor with her because he's supposed to be married to another woman. However, you should be asking her basic questions like, what's the name of the specialist you're seeing? How much does he cost? How did you find out about him? Things about that nature. Because had he done that, maybe he would realize that the specialist is someone from Juniper Creek. And even though he may have his credentials, I don't know how much can we trust them given the way how shady JJ is and the fact that it's his son. I just hate that she feels like all she has to offer is this. Nikki, to me, is so much more than having a baby. So Bill has noticed a change in her. She claims that this is the way that she wants to be, that she found herself, but I feel like it's a lie. Because if she truly found herself later on when Albie calls her names, she wouldn't then switch back to looking a certain way to appease Albie. If you truly have found yourself, then you're going to dress the way you want for you, regardless of what other people has to say. She doesn't know who she is. Everything that she's doing right now is about pleasing someone else. First, it was her husband. Then later on, it's going to be her brother. It's not about pleasing herself. I want to know also, which is kind of odd for me, where Nikki got this newfound love for Bill, because she said that she loved him more than once. And I just want to know where it came from. Are we missing episodes here? Because it's not making sense to me that now, all of a sudden, after all this time, now you're in this position where you eventually want to have Bill to yourself and you don't want to have another wife and all these other things, when before you were gung-ho. What was the shift? So it's another day. We see Nikki and she is at Juniper Creek getting treatment from JJ's son. I don't even think that she understands what she's doing, because as he's preparing to give her shot, he mentions the fact that the next phase will be implantation of the embryos after this round of medication. Does Nikki know what an embryo is? Whose embryo is he implanting? Because I don't recall Bill coming there to give a specimen. Has he retrieved her eggs already? What are we doing here? Something isn't right. This is very much so something about it. I don't know if y'all ever seen the documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Our Father. It's very much so giving Our Father vibes, where this one doctor just implants his specimen in everybody. And I'm hoping that's not what's going on here, but there's just something really, really odd about this setup, because I don't even understand how her mother got pregnant. And him mentioning embryos really threw me off. I hope he does not end up impregnating her with like his baby or somebody else's baby or JJ's baby. Oh my God. Yeah, you just never know. So as she is, seeing him, Adeline walks in and she's asking questions. Adeline, is none of your business. So Nikki admits to having high blood pressure. And JJ, who also walks in, is sitting there and recommending that he prescribe some type of medication. And he's like, I will prescribe medication for my patient. I need Nikki to get out of the office. This isn't right, like at all. This is out of sequence, because Nikki doesn't go back to dressing like this until after Albie. But I was trying to keep each group with each group, so just follow me. So later on, while Nikki is back home, Barb slips up talking about how hard this must have been for her, and how, you talk to me, Nikki, if you need to talk to me, especially with Joey's secret. Nikki is looking at her like, what secret? Nikki cannot get out of that house to that compound fast enough. It's one thing if you think that your loved one passed away from natural causes, but it's another when you find out it's at the hands of someone else, especially when you later know that everybody around you at some point knew about it but you. That is the part that I don't understand. If Bill really and truly was this concerned about Nikki, if he cares about Nikki as much as he claims that he does, you would think that she would be the first person he told. But Bill, in my opinion, only really is in love with Barb. And I feel like there's a reason why he tends to tell Barb things sometimes and not talk to the others. It's more than just her being the first wife. It's that he actually seems to love her. And with that being said, you should have enough respect for the wife whose story this is, whose father this was, to tell her about it. So Nikki hightails it to the compound, and she approaches Wanda as she's hollering for Joey. But of course, Joey isn't answering because Joey isn't there. She wants to know if Joey killed her father. Wanda, of course, is not responding. Now, at first I thought she was just nervous to say anything, but the last time we saw Wanda was struggling to speak after JJ was bringing stuff and she said, you said that you weren't going to do it anymore. Something traumatic is going on here, and it has caused Wanda to become mute. It has caused Wanda to be paralyzed vocally. Wanda cannot speak. We know that it's because her no finger having nail brother JJ did something. Shout out to Kate M2411 for pointing out about his fingernail bed. I think you said it before. Someone else mentioned it too. And thank you, because now every single time I see him on the screen, I'm looking at his nail bed. And thank you for the explanation of it, which is that there may be some inbreeding there. And the fact that that's a thing makes me wonder just how deep that is in Wanda's family, because they all do seem to be a little bit weird to me. So JJ shows up because he knows that Nikki is there. Y'all see how he is behind her? He very much so tortures this lady. She's talking about the situation, and Nikki realizes that JJ knows. And he was like, yeah, Wanda told me, but Joey had her doing these awful things, but you weren't being honest in saying that you're blackmailing. And because Wanda's not saying anything, she doesn't know that either. So Nikki is pissed and she wants to get Wanda out of Juniper Creek right now while he's trying to keep Wanda with him. So she's grabbing the baby, talking about some, I'm taking her away. And he's like, no, our family sticks together. Thank goodness Nikki isn't having it, because it's no telling what JJ is doing to her. There's something very creepy about this man. While we're on JJ, something serious is going on with JJ. We know that Bill is going to send a guy to Kansas to look into what's going on the compound, because there's some marriages that are familiar that shouldn't be happening. JJ's entire family is odd. His mother does not like Adeline. She calls her a mongrel under her breath. JJ to me is creepy. We later see Adeline confront him about rumors that she's heard. There's these rumors going around that JJ was summoned by Roman, and she's telling him, I know that can't be true, because I would know that I knew everything. I can't remember how she said it, but basically that if something was going on, she would know about it. So later on, she goes and she sneaks into the fertility clinic, whatever that clinic is. Yeah, fertility clinic is what I'm going to call it. She does some snooping around and she finds paperwork. And as she finds the paperwork, she's discovered by JJ, because she found that he actually was summoned to come to the area because he was about to get a censor on him. I guess that means he was about to get kicked out because of something that Roman discovered. We don't know what it is, and I'm going to think that it has something to do with Kansas, and he chloroforms her and knocks her out. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this situation, but it's not right. And hopefully nothing bad happens to her. So let's talk about Margene. Margene is at the casino office telling Bill about, marrying Anna's fiance. And I mean, should we call him Anna's fiance now that you guys are actually married? And why do y'all keep having these types of conversations in public? Like, out of everywhere to talk about this, you can't talk about it at home. You can't call him. You have to drive all the way to the casino to talk about this, where anybody could walk by, overhear the conversation, and or watch, like what Marilyn did. So they're arguing back and forth. She's calling it a paper marriage, but Bill is calling it a legal one. She brings up a good point, which is that you all say this is a paper marriage, and you sitting here getting upset about a paper marriage, saying that the paper marriage changes things. Meanwhile, you're telling me that a paper marriage with you and Barb doesn't, and that it's not significant. Just because it's legal, it doesn't mean anything. Now you're sitting here acting like my legal marriage means more, when that's not what you said about Barb's. Good point. She tells him that she loves him and that this legal marriage is temporary. He then brings this whole situation, because everything is about him and what he has going on, back to the campaign. So she kisses him. Marilyn is standing outside of the blinds that are open, and she sees this, and she ends up bringing it to his attention later on. These people are so dumb. This whole situation wasn't thought out at all. So Margene tells Bill that she's gonna do this for the sake of him and the family, but he's mad because he believes that she's really doing this to distance herself from them as a family. He wants them to unite as a family, but he feels like she's making this about her business. She doesn't want to lose her business, or she doesn't want to be pulled into this stuff. I don't blame her. She's going to lose so much once they announce. There are people who will not want to deal with them. And the thing of it is, she never wanted to announce in the first place. Like, she was one of the main vocal ones, if I remember, correct me down below if I'm wrong, that said that she felt like they shouldn't do this and that they should wait, right? She's always been against it. So later on, we see Bill. Bill goes to confront Anna, and she says, the thing that we're all thinking, which is that Bill is basically a hypocrite because he's talking about how this marriage is so wrong that he can't share Margine with her and Goran, and it's unnatural. A man has, to know his woman is his own. Bill, what do you think that Margine is about to do? So it's okay for you to have multiple women that are your own, but she can't do the same when it comes to men. And she is just doing this in paper. Y'all love to say that the spiritual marriage matters more and the paper is just a thing that we do here in America, that it's not that big of a deal. Yet it is a big deal because here you are upset about it and you're complaining about it to Anna. So Anna's response to Bill is what we all say, which is, I think you're crazy and that you're a hypocrite. Thank you. Thank you. Men who have multiple women will never be able to convince me that this is a fair setup, and had the roles been reversed, that they would not have a problem with it. It's not right. So we go to the next scene, which is Margine and Goran, and they are at the immigration office to speak with this lady who's skeptical about this whole thing. And Margine is trying hard. She's trying too hard. As I was watching y'all, this is completely off subject. So in my younger years, you all know my family is from Jamaica. I have a friend that I've known since I was little that is Jamaican, and he did something similar to Gordon where he went back without permission and then came back and he lost his visa. So he was trying to convince me to marry him. And he said he would give me a allotted sum and then he would pay me monthly. And I said no. I should have said yes. No, I did right by saying no. I'm just saying, if I say yes, it only had to be a couple of years, and we got along well. I didn't want to marry him. I didn't feel like that was right, But I'm just saying. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, and anyways, I thought about that. Let me get back to the subject. So Margine is showing her Christmas pictures while the worker is telling her about what will happen should you be found to be lying. That you can face jail time amongst other things, up to 5 years. She looks concerned. Meanwhile, Goran is not. He seems fine. She clearly didn't think about this either because you went on a show talking about how your kid's father's left. Now here you are and you're worth all this money and you're married to this man. Who's to say that if you all were to get divorced, that he wouldn't try to come after your funds? It's just a lot more to this than I think that she's thinking. So her husband, Goran, even as they're talking, rests his hand on her thigh to be more convincing. And she looks uncomfortable. At first, I thought she was uncomfortable because he thought she was doing too much. But then with her comments later on to Barb saying how she doesn't want to mess up again, I feel like she's tempted to make another mistake, which means she's attracted to this man, which I don't blame her. He's a good looking guy. So later on, Margine goes to talk to Bill and tell him that she feels like he was right, that she needs to call this off to get the annulment, and that she no longer wants to be married. Bill tells her, not right now. It's important that she does stay married because Marilyn saw them kissing, which I haven't talked about that yet. But anyways, Marilyn let him know that she saw them kissing. So now to divert Marilyn's attention or to make her think it's not anything, they got to stay like this. But that's not what she wanted to hear. So as that's going on, Nikki returns home to show them who's the boss. She slaps the piss out of Bill for not telling her about what Joey said. When she did it, I gotta be honest, I said, that's it. Nikki is my favorite. because she hit him. It was good. Good point on both of the actors' side. Look at the expression on her face. Nikki wasn't, that was her getting ready to swing back and slap him, right? So she hits him. She's upset, she says, because she just started loving him and now he's betrayed her. I'm still trying to figure out what happened in the past few weeks, months, whatever, that now all of a sudden, after all these years of not loving him, now you love him. It's so random to me. Later on that night, we see that Margene has invited Goran to the house. Barb lets her know that she's playing with fire, and she's like, what do you expect? He has to be around here. We got to get to know each other. So Ben and Goran are playing tetherball. He asks if he can join in. Bill does. He tells Ben, go to the side or whatever. So it's basically a penis measuring contest, to see who got it. Bill is taking this, I can't talk for anything. Bill is taking this extremely seriously. He's getting all sweaty and stuff as they're playing the music and they're hitting the ball back and forth. And to my surprise, Bill actually wins. I mean, like, legitimately, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, Bill actually did it. Let me find out that he's capable of it. I just was surprised. He wins after hitting Goran in the face with the ball. I said, okay, good for him. Very celebratory moment for Bill. So, Barb and Bill are jacking stuff up left and right. Barb fills Bill in on how she now knows that Marilyn is behind all the boom scares and the pamphlets and the picketing and things of that nature. That Marilyn is actually in bed with the evangelical leader that has been causing problems for the casino. She says that she creates a problem, then presents herself as the solution to the problem, and she gets paid for all of it. So she's getting paid by all of them. She then admits that she fell for the scam because she hired Marilyn behind Bill's back. Bill cannot believe what he's hearing. He cannot believe that she screwed this up. Not only did she make this mistake, but she defied him because he already said he didn't want her to have anything to do with Marilyn. And she not only had something to do with Marilyn, but she went behind his back to do it. I don't often agree with Bill, but I could see how he would be upset by the fact that he told you not to do this. You went behind his back and did it anyway, and now he was actually right. And now you're going to have to sit here and try to figure out a way to get from underneath this woman because you signed a contract. So Bill ends up firing Barb now because Marilyn can get a hold of their casino and really mess things up for them. Interesting how Bill is allowed to make all sorts of mistakes, but the moment any of his wives do the same, they're in so much trouble. She is in trouble when it comes to the casino, but he still wants her to help out in other areas. So my thing is, if I'm not good enough to come to the casino, I'm not good enough to go talk on the campaign. And maybe if he did that, it might help him a little bit. So it's the next day. Barb heads to a women's club meeting with Eagle Forum on behalf of Bill. She does an awful job with reading the room because she is making this very personal, I think, about the things that she's gone through and relating it to these ladies as if they're going to be honest about their mess. She's talking about being the woman behind the man, the intolerable man. And her speech goes on a tirade about how women are expected to be perfect, to do all these things without being honest about how badly they feel. She says serving our faith, our husbands, our children, and our communities causes many Utah women to run to their medicine cabinets for sedatives and antidepressants. And she's smiling and stuff, but she clearly is not reading the room because there's a bunch of ladies that are looking at her like she's crazy as she's talking about turning to Benadryl and Prozac. The delivery may have been wrong, but she is not lying. I think that Barb herself suppresses a lot of frustration when it comes to Bill, when it comes to her life, she is not happy. We know she's not happy because of the constant times where she seems unhappy, or where we saw her sitting in the bathroom with smoke around her as she cries. Like, she's not happy. So we know that the neighbor across the street, who is there, who's in the back, admitted that she did this very thing, that she took stuff because she offered Margene one when Margene was crying about not being able to go to the store. But they don't want you to bring this up. They want to continue to have their mask up. It does not go over well. So later on in the day, Bill arrives home and he sees his neighbor that prior to all of this had his sign, building with Bill or whatever, in her yard. And now she's throwing it in the trash. She's not even recycling it, you guys. She's throwing it completely away. She wants to get rid of it. And he's like, if you need me to get you another sign, I can get you another sign. And she's like, no, I don't want another sign. So what she does is she lets him know that Barb's comments about the things that she said isn't right, because some of them really do struggle with it. So I guess that's his way of finding out what she said. So later on, he goes to have one of his debates with his opponent, and she is talking about different things, and the subject of what Barb said comes up, and she twisted to saying, like, Barb is saying that all women of Utah are drug abusers, and he's like, that's not what she's saying. She says, well, how would your wife even know? Isn't she more focused on running your Indian gambling palace? Meaning someone tipped her off, or she's done some work. So overall, this thing didn't go well because there was a lot of women in there and they were standing up clapping, and it wasn't for Bill. Bill, of course, goes home to fuss at Barb when the truth should have been, the truth, in my opinion, is if you would have given the speech in the first place, then you wouldn't have to worry about this. Barbara's proven time and time again that she's not good when it comes to public speaking. So Bill tells Barb to retract her speech. Barb tells him that this is a real issue and she doesn't want to, and she stands by her statement, and she doesn't need a lecture from him. He wants her to do an interview tomorrow, and he wants the entire family with him because he has to look like he's a united front. She then says, you sitting here and you want to do all this. Meanwhile, your campaign is driving me crazy. It drove Sarah away. I need Barb to realize that the campaign might have been the final straw, but your family very much so drove her away. The day that you decided to go from a monogamous family to a polygamous family, the day that you decided to have not one but two other wives and then a third, you lost your daughter with each marriage because she lost respect for your vision of the institution of marriage. So his opponent later does a TV interview on a commercial mocking him, telling him to respond. His response comes at the end of the episode when he does his little thing with his family. So as I said, I'm jumping around. Bill, Jerry, Barb, the evangelical, and Tommy are supposed to be in a meeting. Tommy gets up and leaves, acting like he has to handle something, when really what it is was that he was doing some, undercover stuff as far as Marilyn was concerned, so that they could, trace her and her, I don't know what she has going on her laptop. So Barb isn't going to let Bill fire her. They have that conversation as she walks into the room. I personally feel like Barb needs to be close to Tommy. She didn't say that, but she's very much so enjoying working at this casino. So Bill wastes no time to confront Marilyn about her being in cahoots with the evangelicals and causing problems. She, of course, denies it. He tries to fire her. She quits and insults the tribe and their business as she leaves. The evangelical man gets insulted too and insults back because he is threatened by Bill that Bill's gonna, tell what he did. And meanwhile, he's like, look, you don't even really stand a chance, and the little chance you stand, I could crush it if I choose to do so, which he could because he seems to have a big backing. We later on see Barb as she apologizes to Tommy for any risk that this whole situation partnering with Marilyn may have caused. She admits that she signed the dotted line because she was upset with her husband and she did it out of spite. And now she's afraid what that may have caused for their business. And he tells her, like, I had to sign it too. It wasn't all on you. So don't feel bad. You're doing a great job. And they embrace. Do you see this embrace? Tommy looks like he's into Barb just as much as she's into him. These two used to bicker left and right, and now look at them. They like each other. And unlike Barb's husband, Tommy seems to have developed a respect for Barb, whereas Bill just feels like, you're my wife, this is what you're supposed to do, and I want you to do it. Barb has very much so taken on a role that she originally did not want, because we know she was against the casino in the first place. So to see her go from being completely against this to now running it is very odd. Marilyn decides that she's going to go pop up at VSN. She wants to see Margene in action. Margene is very visibly concerned. She forgets her lies. Marilyn catches her in them because she previously told Marilyn that she met Bill when she was selling stuff at his campaign. She felt like it was odd for her to be there selling jewelry of all places. It just didn't make sense. That stood out like a sore thumb to her. And then she realized that you knew him longer than you said you did. She says, no, it was recently. Marilyn doesn't believe it. The next day, water be so delicious when it's a fresh thing of ice in it. Anyways, so it's the next day. Marilyn comes back to the office and she confronts Bill. First, she's trying to do it by herself, but Barb doesn't want to leave. So she's like, okay, Barb, I didn't want to do this in front of you, but I'm going to do it. So she tells Bill she knows that he's having an affair with Margene. She knows that he's having an affair. Barb looks shocked. Very shocked. I think that Barb thought that it was yet another woman. Excuse me. I think that Barb was like, oh, Lord, we went from the fourth being honored to now we're going to have a fifth. But then she says with Margene, Marilyn tells Barb she feels sorry for her. And I think she really did. I think she was not lying when she said that she liked Barb, and that her figuring this out to me should have been a sign that they were in trouble. Let's jump to Albie. Albie is at what looks like a deposition for Dale's murder. He's asked questions by people investigating the UEB situation. They want to know who rented the apartment using UEB funds. And Albie is visibly nervous and concerned. But at the end of it all, he blames Dale because telling the truth, admitting that he and Dale were lovers would destroy him. Not just Albie, but Dale's legacy as well. But it seems like him being accused of embezzling something and being a thief to him is more palatable than him admitting that he is a homosexual, which is sad, right? Because you love this man and you can't even be honest about your feelings for him. The fact that he unalived himself out of fear of what was to come, the fact that he was struggling and all those other things, nobody knows that because it's all kept a secret. I just hate it. I hate that people have to go through that. So Albie cannot hold himself together in the midst of all of this stuff. He is at, I guess, on the compound in the UEB office, and he is looking rough. He is stomping around on the ground as the music plays, dancing around, laying on the ground, putting the picture on top of him and beside him as the only picture that he had with him and Dale. The one that I previously thought he was probably going to use for blackmail, that some of you guys were right when you said that you think that he just took the picture because he loved him. He is now looking at that picture and missing his partner. Look at him. It's sad. So he's playing Nancy Sinatra in the background. as he's doing all of this, Laura knocks on the door. Laura the snitch. She knocks on the door and she's asking for forgiveness. But Albie doesn't know what she's talking about because he doesn't know that she's the snitch. I would actually love to see what would happen if he finds out that she's the one who told everybody about the situation, because she very much so moved along what Dale did. I'm not going to put all the blame on her because it was a lot of different people who he encountered that told him he was wrong, that didn't really offer him a solution, that didn't accept him for him. But she helped push it by telling Bill and the wife and all these other people what was going on. And I got Albie doing something crazy to her. So she tells him Nikki is there. Nikki comes in at that point. I told you this is out of order. This was before she changed later on. She's dressed in her modern attire. She brings him jeans, tells him she's sorry, gives him a hug, tells him she loves him, then talks about the fact that they weren't allowed to say, I love you or things like that in their household, that they would be punished if they did. Growing up, it was not a thing where we weren't allowed to say I love you, but I very much so recall saying I love you and not hearing it back. And over the years, through counseling and whatever else, I've had different conversations with my parents, and they've expressed things about the way that they grew up. And as a result of it, it wasn't something that they were accustomed to hearing. So when I would say I love you, hearing something like ditto was a big deal for them. But now, after counseling and everything else, they very much so will initiate it and things of that nature. And as old as I am, when my father does it, it makes me melt because it was so long before it was a thing. So I could very much so relate to Nikki when Nikki was like, I love you. They had a problem with this saying, I love you. Now, my parents didn't have a problem with it. It just wasn't something that they were accustomed to saying. But here she is saying that they weren't allowed to say it, that they got in trouble for saying it. What in the world? Like, that's insane when you think about it. And she's like, I love you. And she's on her knees and hugging him and saying that. And as they're having what looks like is going to be this tender moment, because if we're honest, this is the only person that he could really lean on because him and Nikki are really close. Who appears but Roman? Roman the ghost pops up again. He tells Nikki that all love does is it hurts you and that she's lost her way. I want them to give us a different ghost than Roman. I would love to see the ghost of Dale come back and for them to have like a final moment together where Albie could actually say goodbye, because at this point he's seeing Roman more and more, and I think it's going to be a thing where he either hurts himself or somebody else. So Albie kind of goes off on Nikki, calls Nikki a disgrace, says that she's desperate for love, she's groveling like a indecent whore. And as he said it, it stung because I felt badly for Albie, but you gotta stop lashing out at the one person that actually seems to love you, which is Nikki. Now, I'm not saying his mom doesn't, but she shows him that she loves him. And Nikki, of course, was hurt, and she runs out eyes full, and he looked like he was tore up by it too. After his comment, she changes back into her attire with her hair braided down and everything else. Let's talk about Sarah. Excuse me. As I said earlier, Sarah let the family know she's leaving. Bill's only concern is when, because how dare she try to live her life, I'm just saying. Out of all the characters on this show, Sarah to me has grown a lot. She's still selfish and she still has a lot of things that she needs to work on, but she has matured. She's created something for herself outside of this family, and she was able to do so on her own, as well as with the help of her husband. She later admits to her father that she does not want to be a part of what happens next to the family, but she will stay for Teeny's party. The wives invite Sarah to the wives' meeting. Sarah doesn't care about this crap. Look at her face. She's looking at them like, why you got me here? If y'all wanted to teach me this, you should have did this already. They don't want her to go. Sarah tries to go. Nikki tells her to sit down, and she does. Nikki talks about how she looked up Portland and there's heroin everywhere. Sarah tells them, look, I'm scared to go, but it's time. It is. It's time. They're talking about how she's not even signed up for college and all these other things. She wasn't signed up for college there, was she? Because didn't really seem like she was doing much other than just being a wife. She tells them that this is not the lifestyle that she chose to live, and she does not want to be associated with polygamy. She tells them that you guys are sitting here acting like y'all want to go public when none of you all want to go public. The only person who wants to go public is Nikki. No one says anything to her saying that, except Nikki, who says that she loves Bill, which everybody looks so shocked by the fact that she says this, and she's going to support him. And she walks off, and we see her and Bill have a conversation later where she tells him she doesn't want him to have any more wives and all those other things. I don't really care about that. I just feel like Nikki couldn't handle kids putting toilet paper in her trees. So how is she going to handle really, really being public? We later see Ben come to Sarah's house, and Ben asks Sarah to please go to the interview with their dad. He tells her that their father isn't going to ask, but her father isn't as bad as she thinks he is. He was willing to risk their life. And Sarah's like, after everything that you've seen, how could you sit here and say all of this? What am I saying here? I done clicked on something. Perfect me. Hold on one second, y'all. What did I do? He tells her that Bill was willing to risk his own life for him and would do the same for any of them. You say all of that, but Bill hasn't scored any points in my mind. I guess she's going to think about it. So later that night, while in bed, Marilyn calls Barb and tells her, as you see the whole shot with Ben and Margene, she has Margene on her computer, so she's really looking into this. And she tells her she lied, that she felt sorry for Barb, but she made compromises with her life. Barb plays coy. She knows that there is more to the story than Barb is letting on. And Marilyn says, I know a lot already and I'm just getting started. She knows that Margene is their neighbor, and she now believes that Barb knows about the cheating. Barb tries to act like she's not scared, but it's clear that her words kind of hit her. Later, we see Sarah at her house. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Bill has came over with pizza and $5,000 towards her new life. Tommy. Y'all see Tommy? This why Barbara's having a good time at the casino because of Tommy. Let me stop. That's how rumors start. So the next day, Tommy tells Bill they were able to hack into Marilyn's computer and it's bad. They found a bunch of convicting files about her not only being in bed with the evangelicals, but about her also being in bed with multiple Indian tribes, playing them against or pinning them against one another. More importantly, there's a whole bunch of stuff on Bill. That she has tax records and names of campaign donors, Home Plus corporate funds, and Home Plus information. And he warns Bill that she is taking this personally and she's gunning for him. I just want to know how she was able to obtain all of that stuff. Like, I know she has a lot of connections, but isn't some of those things in her obtaining them illegal? I don't know. Y'all tell me down below. So we later see Bill being interviewed on Live Air with his family as Teenie is doing a crazy tap dance to his infomercial song, whatever jingle. Teenie looks crazy. What the hell is wrong with Teenie? Teenie acts like she was raised somewhere else, like she was raised in a cult rather than at home. It's weird. So Barb is about to apologize for her comments that she made, but Bill tells her on air that there's no need. She's right. A lot is expected of these women. Sarah then shows up to support her father. He seems happy. Later that night, they all are together for Teenie's birthday party, and the family gives Sarah a homemade quilt as a going away present. This is very much so giving that the Browns watched this series and copied a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying everybody doesn't do quilts, but there's a lot of things that's going on in this. I already pointed out how the one house looked a lot like the one house here. Now you got a quilt idea here. Yeah, y'all, yes, it's a bit much, right? So Sarah is very, very excited about her homemade quilt. She goes in to go get the birthday cake as she looks at her family, trying to hold back tears. When she looks at Teeny looks at her. I think that Sarah is done. I think that this is the last we're going to see of Sarah. I don't know if it's until the series is over or period, but she seems like she's done. We've been seeing less and less of her as is, but this to me kind of looked like a goodbye episode. Overall, it was okay. I kind of want to get off this election thing. I can't wait till he gets elected or till he loses, whichever happens first. If there's something that I left out that you want to talk about, feel free to put it down below. Thank you guys so much for your time. Until next time.